insidious six.
Why have you brought us here?
All of you are my ultimate weapon.
Yo. Designed for disaster, from the mind of the master. Block thicker than encyclopedias with unlimited chapters. Face like I play poker, so you get no hints of the takeover. We hear the bulldozer the slave owners. Call us insidious, cause we reject the silliness.
What is going on, everybody? This is your friendly neighborhood coach, and this is the next installment of the Locker Room. Listen, we are here. We're going to talk Cleveland Browns today. We're going to talk about the rivalry game against the Steelers on Sunday. We're also going to talk about Myles Garrett. Is Myles Garrett going to break the sack record against the Steelers? Let's talk about it a little bit. And as always, every week, we do a Shedeur Sanders update. Then I have a question. The question is, what will the quarterback room for the Browns look like next season? Then we're going to go to Ohio State. Ohio State in the college playoffs, they're getting ready to get started. They're going to ramp it up and get started rolling with Miami. That rivalry that goes back to about 2002, 2003. All right, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the college football playoffs and what's up next. Then we're going to talk about the Cavs. The Cavs played the Houston Rockets today, but we're also going to review the loss that they had on Christmas Day at MSG. We're going to talk about it. Was it a good loss? Was it a bad loss? Is there such thing as a good or bad loss? Let's talk about it. And then we're going to project the regular season final record for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into my Nostradamus type thing, and then we're going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then finally, my coach's rant is going to be about the Cleveland media and how much they change narratives and how much they can frustrate fans who have fandom on different types of players in different types of sports. We might call some names out. I'm different than everybody else. This is the Locker Room. I do what I want. So I may call some people out on this thing. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Listen, the Locker Room is sponsored by Road Dog Health and Wellness. It is the end of the year, y'all. Some of y'all then indulged over these last 12 months. Some of y'all have eaten everything that y'all want, and then y'all got on that scale, and that scale told you about it. Well, listen, Road Dog Health and Wellness is an establishment that will help you become healthier in your mind, your body, and your spirit. All you need to do is reach out, okay, to Road Dog Health and Wellness. It is on IG. You can type in Road Dog Health and Wellness. It is on Facebook, Road Dog Health and Wellness. You can go to the Road Dog Health and Wellness email, which is www.roaddogfitness.gmail.com. Listen, it's time to change your health and wellness outlook. Go ahead and reach out to the people at Road Dog Health and Wellness. And as the motto says, no games, no gimmicks, because you got to grind. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get this thing started. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns, shall we? Listen, the Browns are going to go up against the hated Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? And so, looking at this, I know TJ Watt had some surgery. He should be able to play. He should return. However, the Steelers can clinch the division if the Ravens lose today. As I'm doing this broadcast, the Baltimore Ravens play today. If the Ravens lose today, then that locks up the division for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, mind you, Mike Tomlin has had a winning season all 20 years that he's been there, okay? But he does have an opportunity, if they win a division, to sit players. I don't think that he's going to do that, and here's why. He does not want Myles Garrett to break the record it's not in Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, it's in Cleveland. He does not want Myles Garrett to break the record, okay? Isn't it? I think it's in Cleveland. No, it may be in Pittsburgh. I'm sorry. But either way, he does not want Myles Garrett to break the sack record against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay? So he will do everything in his power to make sure that Myles Garrett does not break this record. Now, what have teams been doing? Let me give you a football breakdown, y'all, for those that don't know. Teams have been running away from Myles Garrett, but there also have been teams that's been running at Myles Garrett. because the mindset of Myles Garrett is this. Every time he comes out on the field, he looks at that as a possible or potential sack. But what teams have been doing over the last few weeks, Buffalo's done it, okay? I'm sure the Steelers are going to do it. They run the football, okay? Buffalo ran the football for over 100 yards in the first half of the Buffalo game. So how do you neutralize a pass rusher? You run the football. So that's what Pittsburgh is going to do. Number two, Aaron Rodgers is no idiot. Okay, Aaron Rodgers is not going to allow Myles Garrett to even get close enough to him. Aaron Rodgers throughout his career has always been able to get rid of the ball with quickness, to get rid of the ball with accuracy. So I don't see Myles Garrett. He might get one, but I think the Steelers are going to game plan against Myles Garrett. They are not going to allow Myles Garrett to break the sack record against them. That's just not. That's their mindset. That's how they're thinking. That's not going to happen. Okay. Now, if Myles can get off quickly, it may happen. But I know the Pittsburgh Steelers, their mindset right now, they want to win the game. But they, more than ever, they want to stop Myles Garrett from breaking that record. If Myles Garrett breaks that record against Cincinnati, they don't have a problem with that. They will have a problem if he breaks it against the Pittsburgh Steelers. How do I see this game panning out? Well, if the Ravens win, the Steelers will lock up the division. But the Steelers want to go out winning. They're not, this is an NFL team. They're not going to sit back and allow, teams, or sit guys, who are not injured, who are not hurt. They're not doing that. This is not the NBA. It's not load management. They're not going to do that, okay? So the Steelers are going to come out, and I think they're going to be full strength. The Browns, on the other hand, the Browns are they've been having difficulty all season. And we'll get into this, later on down the line when I talk about the Cleveland media. But Shedeur Sanders is going out against the Steelers, and I think what the Steelers are going to try to do, they're going to try to confuse Shedeur. Now, what do I want to see? I've said this over the last couple broadcasts. I want to see consistent improvement from Shedeur Sanders. Okay, I want to see consistent improvement, which I have. Now, he's going to have 7 games when he's done. Is that a good sample size of understanding who your quarterback is 7 games? I don't think so. Okay, now you can go into the draft, and here's how I break this thing down, guys. You can go into the draft, you can grab a quarterback out of the draft. It's still going to take them a couple years. It's very rare that you get a quarterback out of the draft that comes in immediately and begins to just tear the roof off the NFL. Okay, I haven't seen that. Okay, it takes a quarterback a year or two to come on in and get it going. All right. So yes, you can go in with Mendoza. All right, you can go with the kid at Oregon. All right. But you still are going to have a couple of years before those guys develop, which you already have a quarterback in camp. You already have, Shedeur Sanders in camp. You already have him there. Okay. And for me, like I said, listening to all the naysayers and everybody, and I'm not a Shedeurian. Some people may label me as a Shedeurian. You can go ahead and do that. That will be your mistake, because I don't have a problem in critiquing quarterbacks. I critiqued Dylan Gabriel, I critiqued Joe Flacco, and I critiqued Shedeur Sanders. Okay? I want the best quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I want someone who's going to lead this team, okay, who's going to go into the huddle and have total command of his football team. Okay? Right now, for me, it's Shedeur Sanders. He checks off all the marks, but people still want to find reasons to not get behind this kid, Jason Lloyd. Oh, did I say that? Okay, we're going to get to him later, because he has lost all kinds of credibility for me just by some of the statements he made over the past week. All right, back to the game. So I don't think if Myles Garrett gets the sack against Pittsburgh, it'd be great. okay, and breaks the record against Pittsburgh. That would be great. But Mike Tomlin is not an ignorant individual. They're going to game plan to make sure that Myles Garrett is getting double teamed, chipped, triple teamed, whatever it may take. If Carson Schlesinger or one of those guys beats the Browns, the Devin Bush, then fine. Beats the Steelers, I mean. Then fine. But they're not going to allow Myles Garrett to wreck the game. Now, if Jim Schwartz, I am critical of Jim Schwartz watching last week because, and I'm very rarely critical of Jim Schwartz, but here's my criticism. You move Myles Garrett around. You don't just have him stuck one side of the field when you see that teams are running away from him. I've seen Myles Garrett line up at end. I've seen Myles Garrett line up in a 3 technique. I've seen Myles Garrett line up in a 1 technique. I've also seen Myles Garrett line up at a linebacker. You move him around so they can't key him. Last week, Buffalo keyed him because Jim Schwartz had an inability to move him around. Now, I'm not saying Jim Schwartz is checked out, y'all. I'm not saying that. But there has to be more innovative ways to get Myles Garrett that sack. Okay? So we'll see what Jim Schwartz does tomorrow. All right? Shedeur Sanders, like I said, I want to see continual improvement out of Shedeur Sanders. I saw the report from Mary Kay Cabot that Harold Fannin had a groin injury, so his status is unknown. But that could be a good thing. Why? Because Shedeur has keyed on Harold Fannin. And so do you think that the teams like the Steelers will not key on Harold Fannin? So what does that do for Shedeur? It makes you have to throw to somebody else. So hopefully Jerry Jeudy will be in the building tomorrow. Hopefully. Okay. Hopefully Isaiah Bond will be in the building tomorrow. Cedric Tillman. Hopefully you guys will show up. Okay. So Shedeur can have someone else to throw to. He doesn't have Quinshawn Junkins. Junkins is out for the season. Stefanski got him. No, I ain't going to say Stefanski got him killed. But that's my assumption, okay? So, to answer speculation, who do I believe is going to be in the quarterback room for next year for the Cleveland Browns? Do I believe that the Browns are going to stay with Shedeur Sanders for the upcoming season, the 2026 season? Are they going to draft Fernando Mendoza? Okay, how is that going to work? First of all, for me, Kevin Stefanski will be relieved of his duties at the end of the Cincinnati game. He will be relieved of his duties. People are in such an uproar because Mary Kay came out and said that Andrew Berry is probably going to be around. There is Echo the Wonder Dog. I had to introduce him. I forgot to introduce my co-host. Echo the Wonder Dog. He always protects the nest and the kingdom here for the locker room. So if you hear Echo the Wonder Dog, don't worry about it. He's just doing his job. Now, Mary Kay Cabot said that there's a possibility that Andrew Berry is going to be very involved in, the draft next year and all of that. And people are in such an uproar that Andrew Berry is going to be around. They feel as if Kevin Stefanski's fired, that Andrew Berry should be fired. And in most situations, it works that way. It does. When you get rid of the head coach, you get rid of the GM. However, I've said this, is that the GM this year, Andrew Berry, saved his job because of this rookie class. Now, everybody going back over the last 4 years in the drafts that he's had in the last 4 years. I told you, I'm Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately? This rookie class is probably going to be one of the best rookie classes that he has drafted. Carson Schlesinger is going to be the defensive rookie of the year. That's hands down, okay? Myles Garrett is going to get the sack record. Now, he's not about the draft, but we're talking about credentials under Berry's watch. You're looking for the improvement. You see, Quinshawn Junkins is going to be a perennial All-Pro. He comes back from the injury. He's going to be a perennial All-Pro. Dylan Sampson is going to be up in those numbers in terms of a third down back. Okay. Mason Graham. Let me say something here. I hear so many people talk so much trash about Mason Graham. And here's the thing. I was talking to my brother the other night, and one thing that I don't like doing, but I have to do, is defend Michigan players when they need to be defended. I'm getting sick and tired of people trying to downplay what Mason Graham is doing. If you've never played a 3 technique, if you've never played a 1 technique, then you don't have the right to say anything about that young man in the trenches. Okay? He is getting double teamed consistently. I understand when people say, well, he was the number 5 pick. What is your expectation for the number 5 pick as a rookie defensive tackle? What is your expectation? You think he was going to come out and be the second coming of Warren Sapp his rookie year? Did you think he was going to be Aaron Donald the first time he hit the field? Some of y'all need to shut up because y'all are on air talking nonsense. Mason Graham has done a serviceable job as a rookie. He's going to learn. He's got to get stronger. He understands. He has the mindset of a wrestler. Remember, he wrestled in college. He wrestled in high school. So you have to understand the mindset of a wrestler. He knows what he's going to have to work on. But if you don't play inside that center, if you don't know what it means to be double teamed, to be chipped, to be trapped, you know what I mean? If you don't understand that, then I need you to stop talking, period. Mason Graham is going to be fine, okay? When you look at it, all right? So this draft class, even Shador, even Dylan Gabriel, okay, they're helping out this team. Isaiah Bond, Harold Fannin Jr., okay, who was just named as a reserve to the Pro Bowl. As a rookie, was named a reserve to the Pro Bowl. He's broken Ozzie Newsome's rookie record, okay? What else do you need? I completely don't understand some of y'all folks thinking out here. So Andrew Berry has won another year. That's why. It's because of this draft class. Now, people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. You have all the right to disagree with me, okay? But I believe because of this rookie class, he has given himself a pass. He's given himself a year, okay, for a 3-13 team, okay, or 3-12. So he's given himself the opportunity to draft. Now, this upcoming draft for Andrew Berry is going to be the make or break. It's going to be the make or break. Can he go against what people want him to do, which is draft a quarterback? Can he go against that and go get the wide receiver? Go get Jordan Tyson out of ASU, or go get a Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. Okay? Because you need wide receivers. So whether it's Carnell Tate or whether it's Jordan Tyson, okay, then you have to rebuild your offensive line. So to me, you already have you have your quarterback that you can work on. You keep Deshaun Watson. Did you hear what I said? You keep Deshaun Watson. You go out and you're trying to look for a veteran quarterback. You already have one. And I know the people of Cleveland don't want to hear that. Oh, we don't want Deshaun Watson. I want you guys to go back because now it is rearing its ugly head. Was it really Deshaun Watson? Or was it Kevin Stefanski's ineptitude when it comes to tailor-making an offense around your quarterback? Ask yourself that question. Whatever answer you come out with is what you come out with. But I'm not going to throw all the bricks on Deshaun Watson. There's a few bricks I'm going to throw at him, okay? But I'm not going to throw all the bricks at him. Because look at the quarterbacks that have come through. Name me one quarterback that's come through that was successful in the Kevin Stefanski tenure. If you say Jacoby Brissett, what did he do the next year? He got rid of him. If you say Joe Flacco for those 5 games, What did he do? He got rid of him. Baker Mayfield. What did he do? He got rid of him. Now, some will say, well, Andrew Berry was the one that did this and Andrew Berry was the one that did that. True facts. True facts. Andrew Berry is partly responsible. However, it is the coach's job to coach guys up. It is the coach's job to put guys in position of success. It is the coach's job to sit in that film room and put together a game plan that's going to make the leader of your offense more susceptible to success. Has Kevin Stefanski done that? No, he hasn't. And then he comes on y'all press conferences and he says the same thing over and over and over. We got to get better. We got to coach better. I've heard that for 5 years now. Okay, thanks. And then I hear the talking heads. Well, if Kevin Stefanski's released, he's going to be one of the top candidates to, get a job. Hey, good for him. Good for him. Sometimes a change of scenery is good for people. Good for him. It didn't work in Cleveland. Now, don't get me wrong. Is Cleveland a functional organization? No. They're not. They're not. Absolutely not. That stems from Jimmy Haslam. Okay? That starts from the top, guys. Starts from the top. Okay? So to answer my question, I believe Shedeur will be the starter next year. I believe that Dylan Gabriel will be the third string. And I believe that Deshaun Watson will be the backup. Like it or not, that's what it's going to be. And despite what all the other talking heads are talking about, I believe that's the route that the Browns are going to go. Now, if the Browns go out and draft a quarterback, they will have solidified that they are the most inept organization in sports. I'm saying it here and I'm saying it now. They will have put the nail in the coffin that they are the most inept organization in sports. Okay? You have too many holes that need to be filled. You have a quarterback that, number one, wants to be there. The only other quarterback I ever remembered that wanted to be in Cleveland was Bernie Kosar. Was Bernie. He wanted to be in Cleveland. Okay? All right, so next thing, let's go into the Ohio State Buckeyes are getting ready to play against the Miami Hurricanes. Miami beat Texas A&M in a snoozer. Honestly, it was possibly the most boring game that I have ever seen. And so, but Miami won the game. They get the shot to go up against the Buckeyes. So you have Oregon playing Texas Tech. You have Bama playing Indiana. That's going to be a tough test for Indiana. Then you have Ole Miss versus Georgia. And then, of course, Miami versus OSU. Just without really going through stats and things of that nature and who's who, my call is this. I think Oregon will beat Texas Tech. I think Bama will prevail, but I think it's going to be a shootout against Indiana because Indiana has a really, really good defense. Okay, so I kind of can call that as a pick'em game. It could be a pick'em game. I'm not sold on Alabama, even though Bama came back from a deficit of they scored 24 unanswered. I'm not sold on Alabama. This is not your Nick Saban Alabama, but I do know that, I think that will be a good game. I don't think Indiana's going to blow them out. I don't think Bama's going to blow them out. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, but right now I'm leaning on Alabama. I could switch real quick because I've seen Fernando Mendoza and the Indiana Hoosiers. Stignetti has done a great job turning that program around, Coach Stignetti. And so I'm really not sold on Alabama. I might be calling Alabama because of nostalgia, because it's Alabama. But I'm not shortchanging Indiana by any means. I think Indiana is very capable of beating Alabama. But right now, my first call is Bama. Ole Miss versus Georgia. I got Georgia in that one. Ole Miss is good. I think Ole Miss is they're the Cinderella team. Ole Miss is on a mission. They're on a mission to prove that they didn't, they can win without their coach, their coach who left. I'm not calling him by name because I think he's a moron. For me, I'm not, and I get that from reliable sources, people who's coached with him, Lane Kiffin. So I just no. And then you have Ohio State versus Miami. Now this rivalry goes back to the national championship game. I believe it was 2002. And there was some controversy in that game. And I mean, I think the Hurricanes had beyond one of the best teams, not only in college football history to me. Okay, you're looking at Andre Johnson, the late Sean Taylor. My goodness, there was so many other players. I mean, Miami was a good football team, but so was Ohio State. Ohio State, Maurice Clarett, Craig Krenzel, it was a pretty good team. I think Santonio Holmes was on that team, so it was a really good team. Dustin Fox, the list goes on and on and on. So Miami has an opportunity to right a wrong, even though it's been years. They have an opportunity to right a wrong. Do I think Miami will beat Ohio State? No. Do I think Miami will get blown out by Ohio State? No, I don't. I think Ohio State will win the game. I think they'll win it by at least 10. But Miami's going to fight. Okay, Miami's going to fight. I'm looking forward to those games. Like I said, we have our Heisman Trophy winner, and then we have our young man from Oregon. They can solidify whether they're first round picks or not. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, just because Fernando Mendoza won the Heisman Trophy to me has been so diluted, where it used to symbolize the best player in college football. Well, because they've given it away at certain times of the Heisman Trophy, I think they've devalued it. Just like I said on Three the Hard Way, by the way, I am a proud member of Three the Hard Way Sports Podcast. Shout out to my man, L Train. Shout out to the captain, Terrence Alston. If you have not subscribed to Three the Hard Way Sports Podcast, I dare you, double dog, triple dog, dare you, to go to YouTube and subscribe, like, and comment Three the Hard Way Sports Podcast. And then when you're done with that, if you have not subscribed to the Locker Room with the coach, then go ahead and subscribe to the Locker Room. We talk Cleveland sports. We break it down. We bring it and we give it to you raw and rugged. So Three the Hard Way. Go ahead and join that, and then come back and then get inside the Locker Room. All right. So looking forward to the college football playoff. Okay, so those are going to be some really good games that's going to come down the line. All right, let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. So the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight play the Houston Rockets in Houston. I did watch the game against the Knicks at MSG. I've said this. I said the Cavaliers are slowly, when they get healthy, they're going to begin to make a run. And quiet as it's kept, I believe it started at MSG. Okay. Now, I can sit and be very critical of some things that happened against the Knicks. I think between Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, they made Mitchell Robinson look like the second coming of Moses Malone. They were out-rebounded by Robinson, period. It wasn't, they were out-rebounded. And this is what's killing the Cavaliers, is because they got big men who are not tough enough. Okay, because rebounding is a mentality, people. You got to be able to be mentally tough enough to say, if that ball comes off the rim, I'm going to get it. And Jared Allen and Evan Mobley do not have that mentality. Will they develop it? Possibly. I think Bryant coming off the bench has that mentality. He's going to get the ball every chance he gets. He's banging. And that's where I was critical of Kenny Atkinson in New York. Is why wasn't Bryant on the floor if you're going to be out rebound? You need physicality. And in the first half, the Knicks were physical. Well, what ended up happening was the Cavs matched their physicality, and that's why they were up 16. But for whatever reason, they're up 16 and they took their foot off the gas. Number two, he took Jalen Tyson off the floor. Jalen Tyson went on a 12-0 run in, I believe, the third quarter by himself, but he was also defending. Listen, I want the guys out there that are going to give me the effort. If it's Jalen Tyson, if it's Naquan Tomlin, okay, if it's Craig Porter Jr., okay, if it's Tyrese Proctor, Luke Travers, if it's one of those young fellas that's coming off the bench and giving you the energy and your veterans aren't giving you that energy, then sit your veterans down and let them young fellas go ahead and let them bring the energy. Because there's no way that Mitchell Robinson should have out-rebounded two, not one, but two 7-footers. It doesn't make sense. Okay? It does not make sense. DG is starting to come back to the DG of old. However, DG still can't guard. He can't defend. He gets put in the post, and he's a finished product. Now, with DG, his scoring is his defense, because Jalen Brunson can't defend either. Let's call it what it is. I don't care. New York Knicks fans can come at me. Jalen Brunson cannot defend either. That's why teams in the playoffs, that's why Indiana went at him last year in the playoffs, because they knew that Jalen Brunson exudes so much energy on the offensive end that he has trouble defending. So don't get it twisted. I talk about, DG and how he can't defend. Jalen Brunson can't either. Okay? So they X each other out. My problem with is Jalen Brunson went off in the fourth quarter and you didn't make any defensive switches. Isn't that what Lonzo Ball is for? He's 6'6". Isn't that what Lonzo is supposed to be doing? Is being the bigger guard to defend. Now, of course, basketball people who know basketball will say, well, who are you going to take off the floor? You can't take DG off the floor because DG was scoring. Okay? Who are you going to take off the floor? I'm going to take Dean Wade off the floor. Or I'm going to put Jalen Tyson on the floor and have Jalen Tyson guard Brunson. Jalen Tyson is 6'6", 6'7". I'm going to take Jalen Tyson. If not, I'm not going to keep Dean Wade out there, because Dean Wade can give you nothing on the scoring end, even though he's scoring pretty well in New York. Okay? He's starting to find his stroke, which I hope he does. Because if Dean Wade can find his stroke, that's 6 foot 10 inches of defender and who can hit the outside shot. When Dean Wade can't hit the outside shot, there's no need to have him out there. You're playing 5-on-4. But if you have Lonzo, you take Dean Wade off the floor, and then you put Lonzo Ball on the floor, because you can get away with Lonzo at the 3. He's 6'6". But here's the problem with Lonzo Ball. The problem with Lonzo Ball is he can't shoot. If Lonzo Ball gets 6 points, that is a victory. If you're expecting Lonzo Ball to go out and give you 15, you're not going to get that from Lonzo Ball. You might get it once every 30 games, maybe. But you're not going to get that out of Lonzo Ball consistently. Here's the problem. When you get to the playoffs, no one's going to play him for the shot. I've seen Lonzo Ball drive to the basket and pass out of there. Nobody's going to play him for the shot. As a matter of most people, when Lonzo Ball gets the ball, they're just going to sag. They're going to dare him to shoot because he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to shoot. Okay? So then play the Rockets tonight, of course. I think Şengün is questionable, but of course they got easy money sniper, baby. Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is a mismatch, even at 35, 36. Kevin Durant is a mismatch. KD, I mean, is going to get his point. KD going to get his points. But do you stop the others? Can you stop the others? Right now, the Cavaliers can't defend dead people. They can't. If Donovan Mitchell doesn't go supernova, Darius Garland, if these two guys don't go supernova, then the Cavaliers are going to have trouble winning. Okay. So I see the game. It's tonight. I see it's in Houston. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a Cavs guy, but I just don't see the Cavs pulling this out. They defensively just don't have it. Defensively, they do not have it. And so I can't see them slowing down the Rockets defensively. I can't. That's hard for me to say. If they do it, hooray, great. But I don't see them slowing down Kevin Durant and those guys in Houston. I don't. I think they're 24-7. Okay. And the Cavs right now they're struggling. Okay. So one of the questions that I had was, what is going to be the regular season record when the Cavaliers are done for the regular season? So right now they're sitting at 17-15. They are currently 7th in the Eastern Conference. They're 2nd in their division. Okay. Right now, when you look at it, the top 7 teams, you have Detroit, New York, Boston, Toronto, Philly, Orlando, and then Cleveland. Now, I said on this show before, and I'm going to say it again, the Cavs are going to make a run. I just believe they're going to figure it out. They're going to make a run. Okay. And you look at the teams in the Eastern Conference. I think Detroit is smoke and mirrors. Although I am a JB Bickerstaff guy, I think Detroit is smoke and mirrors. I think the Knicks are legit. Watching them with Mike Brown, they've increased defensively, and I knew that was going to happen with Mike Brown being at the helm. Not a fan of Karl Anthony Towns. I think he flops too much, and I think he fouls too much. I think if Karl Anthony Towns becomes a legitimate big man, he's hard to guard. Okay. Boston is doing it with Band-Aids and tape. Whatever's going on in Boston, you thought because Jason Tatum wasn't around, Jaylen Brown has done a fantastic job in carrying this team. I just don't think that it's going to last. I don't think the Boston Celtics are going to be in that contention, okay, during the end of the year. Toronto, I said Toronto in the beginning of the season when they was leading the conference, they was leading the Eastern Conference. I said they were smoke and mirrors, and I still think they smoke and mirrors, okay? Scotty Barnes, I think, is the most overrated player in the NBA, and that's my opinion. I don't see where Scotty Barnes can take over a game. I think Scotty Barnes is a body. You know what I mean? I'm not a fan of the Toronto Raptors. I'm not. So they're actually 4th, and I think they're going to begin to drop. Philly is a dumpster fire. If Philly just rolls as far as Joel Embiid can take them, Joel Embiid, and I think I said this before, and when I've done in the NBA report. Everybody trying to figure out what's wrong with Joel Embiid. It's very simple. He's out of shape. Joel Embiid is running around there at 280, 290 pounds. He was already brittle when he came out of Kansas. So now you got 280 pounds on him running. No. Joel Embiid is out of shape. All right. He's out of shape. It's sad to watch him because he's a great big man. He could be a great big man if he would just get in shape. And folks say, well, when Shaquille O'Neal did his thing, Shaquille was close to 400 pounds. Shaquille O'Neal was a freak of nature. That dude was created in a laboratory. I'm being funny, but Shaquille, you can't compare Joel Embiid to Shaquille O'Neal. You can't. Shaquille was Himothy. That was him. He was him. Okay? Shaquille was unguardable. The only thing that stopped Shaquille from not averaging 50 a game is his free throws, and he knows that. But in terms of just sheer dominance, there was no one guarding Shaquille O'Neal. So you can't even compare Shaquille O'Neal and Joel Embiid. Plus, the mentalities were different. Shaquille wanted to harm you on the box. Shaquille wanted you to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you were going into the dungeon if he got that ball on the box. And by the way, he had an assassin. I said it, an assassin that he could kick the ball out to. He had one in Orlando, in Penny Hardaway. But I'm talking about an outright serial basketball killer. He had the ability to throw the ball out to him. So it made it even that much more difficult to be able to guard him. Where you have Joel Embiid doesn't have that mentality. Paul George doesn't have that mentality. You know what I mean? So you can't compare the two, all right? But Orlando is number 6. I like Paolo Banchero. I like their coach. Their coach, he does a really good job in putting them in positions to win. I just don't see them getting over the hump. And then you have the Cavs. So Cavs is second, all right? Here is what I believe they will end up with. They're 17 and 15. They have 50 games left. I think the Cavaliers will go 40 and 10 in the next 50 games, which gives them a record of 57 and 25 to end the season. I think they'll win. I think they won't win 60 games. I think they'll win close to 60 games, but I don't see the Cavaliers winning 60 games. Okay? Which, for me in the regular season, I don't care. Do I care about them winning the Eastern Conference? Honestly, no, I don't. They won the Eastern Conference last year and then got booted by Indiana. So to me, that doesn't matter. I don't care. I care less about the Eastern Conference. If they're in the top 3, you don't want to play the Cavaliers in the playoffs if they're top 3. You don't. You don't want to play the Cavaliers in the playoffs if the Cavaliers are at home and are top 3. You don't want to see them because Kenny Atkinson has been a mad scientist. Yes, they are 17 and 15. They are struggling. But I'm telling you right now, when this team is healthy, they are the deepest team in the NBA, period. Kenny Atkinson can actually go 14 deep if he wanted to. So don't get it twisted. Kenny Atkinson understands what he's doing. I said this on 3 the Hard Way. He is practicing during the regular season. Look at the invaluable experience that the young fellas are getting, that the Tyrese Proctors are getting, that the Craig Porter Jr.'s are getting, that the Naquan Tomlins are getting. Look at the minutes that these guys are getting and contributing. Look at what Jalen Tyson is doing right now. Jalen Tyson is causing it to where it's going to be a conundrum when it comes to Kenny Atkinson. And is he going to do Strus? Is he going to do Hunter? Or is he going to give the nod to Jalen Tyson? Now, right now, he's been bringing Tyson off the bench, and Tyson is still averaging double figures. Okay? But it's the energy. So we're going to see if maybe it's going to take Max Strus a few weeks to get himself together. He's probably a couple of weeks out. Larry Nance Jr. should be coming back soon, but Larry Nance has got to hit the outside shot. If Larry Nance can't hit the outside shot, he doesn't defend like he used to. He's not blocking shots like that. Larry's Larry. And I love Larry Nance. I do. I love Jr. But if he's not stretching the defense, then he's useless. Thomas Bryant is doing more. let me say this. Thomas Bryant is doing what Evan Mobley should be doing. Go look at it. Thomas Bryant right now is doing what Evan Mobley should be doing. Thomas Bryant can hit the three-point shot. Thomas Bryant defends, he can rebound. He brings energy. Thomas Bryant is doing what Evan Mobley should be doing, what they see Evan Mobley doing, how they see him. Evan Mobley just doesn't have the mentality to do that, okay? But I do believe that the Cavaliers will finish with 57-25. That's a bold prediction for me, okay? They could go completely into the tanker. But I don't think they will. I think they're starting to figure it out. I think they're getting that core group back. I still am a firm believer that Evan Mobley and Jared Allen should not be on the floor together, that it should be one or the other. Seeing Mobley come off the bench in New York, I kind of like that. Not Mobley coming off the bench, but I think Jared Allen should come off the bench. Okay? So hopefully they'll get this one with the Rockets tonight. All right? All right, listen, guys, if you have not subscribed to the Locker Room, I don't know what you guys are waiting on. I don't know what's happening. Y'all need to. I'm going to be on here 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time every Saturday, okay? And we're going to talk Cleveland sports, okay? That's what we're going to do. And so I enjoy talking Cleveland sports. I'm Cleveland born, Cleveland bred. I am out here in Phoenix, Arizona. Been out here for 25 years, but I always carry Cleveland on my sleeve. If y'all don't know, y'all better ask somebody. It's going to always be Cleveland, all right? Harvard Ave, baby, all day, okay? All right. Now it's time for my coach's rant. And I'm going to take a moment, and I got some video. Hopefully, it'll play right. Let's hope so. But let me start out by saying this. When I say Cleveland media, there are some people who are excluded, okay? You know, I'm not talking about all Cleveland media. There's just a few of them in Cleveland that absolutely annoys me to all Hades. But I'm going to talk about one in specific. Jason Lloyd of The Athletic came to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and he made a comment that it honestly was probably the most goofiest comment that I've ever heard. And let me see if I can bring this up. Okay, you guys bear with me. Hopefully I can bring this up. Here we go. Let's see.
Still doesn't know what he's looking at. He still doesn't flip protections. He doesn't know when he's hot. This isn't me saying this. I'm not an NFL. I've never claimed to be an NFL coach. This is people in that building will tell me he still doesn't know how to flip protections. He doesn't know when he's hot. He doesn't know what he's looking at. He can only throw to wide open receivers. He doesn't make tight window throws. He doesn't throw guys open. This is not the answer. These last 2 weeks were the opportunity for coming off the Titans game to show that he can be the guy against playoff contenders, and he has not lived up to it. This is not it.
So that was Jason Lloyd. Now, of course, there was pushback by Garrett Bush. That shout out to Garrett Bush, shout out to Jason Lloyd, though Jason Lloyd is courtesy of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Love that show. But he came on, and that to me was the most asinine comment that he ever made. And G. Bush pushed back. Okay, Garrett Bush, part of the Cleveland Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, but also has a show called The Barbershop. You can tune in. I know he's on Saturdays. The Barbershop. Shout out to G. Bush. But G. Bush came back with vengeance because it was the most asinine stat that had ever been heard. And here's my problem. The Cleveland media, and like I said, it's not everybody, but you know who you are. The Cleveland media has tried to change the narrative when it comes to Shedeur Sanders on I don't know how many occasions. You came out and you said, okay, he can't process. He doesn't control the huddle. He doesn't see defenses. He doesn't do these things. But these are people who've never played a down of football ever in their life. Jason Lloyd came out with this stat But he didn't think that there was going to be pushback. Contraire mon frère, G. Bush pushed back. And he pushed back hard because it didn't make sense. And here's my biggest problem is that every time Garrett Bush starts to talk and bring facts, everybody wants to interrupt him. Bull, Adam the Bull, he wants to, well, I'm not the one to say that. Did nobody say you said that? Just be quiet and listen to the point. If you don't agree with it, fine. You get your opportunity to rebut. But if not, if you know it's right, then don't say nothing. Don't always think that sometimes if somebody says something, it's because you said it. No. But what Jason Lloyd said made absolutely no sense. And like I said, I'm not a Shadurian, and I'm not a hater either. But that look there, to me, made him worse than Tony Grossi at that time. Jason Lloyd has lost all credibility with me because he sat in there and he said, well, I'm not saying that. People in the building were saying that. And G. Bush, to his credit, said, so you're going to listen to people who at the end of the season are going to be fired? No. You come to the table with facts. You come to the table with legitimate facts. Don't come with stuff that EPA. No, come on now. So let me see if I can throw this up here because G. Bush made it known. I'm going to play about a minute of this. Here we go.
I need some facts. We then go on and we talk about how he's the worst quarterback ever. But when you say, okay, based on what? Oh, the EPA says it. Okay, well, if we're talking about quarterbacks to quarterbacks, let's compare him to quarterbacks in his own draft class. Jackson Dart, Tyler Shook. Can we talk about Cam Ward? I bring up those quarterbacks, and they're like, we're not talking about those guys. Why are you bringing them up? In what world can you just simply, it's called a data set. So when you're comparing something to something else, you have to have some data and other pieces of information to compare it to.
So here's what I'm saying, okay? Shout out to G. Bush, okay? Shout out to G. Bush and the barbershop. But that's what I'm talking about. You're changing the narrative. So what G. Bush is saying is, if you're going to say that Shedeur Sanders is the worst quarterback of all time, then let's talk about the guys that were drafted in his class. Tyler Shook is in New Orleans. Just really got the starting job. Jackson Dart has been bantered back and forth. Cam Ward. Shedeur outplayed Cam Ward. Heck, I can sit here and say he outplayed Josh Allen last week. But the EPA, whatever that is, because to me, when I hear EPA, I'm thinking Environmental Protection Agency. But you come in with this. It has stats of every drop back he's had, takes in consideration the offensive line. Stop there. So if it's taking in consideration this garbage offensive line, what are you talking about? I'm really not understanding. Okay? And there, listen, I've been on Tony Grossi's head the entire season, but Tony Grossi has started to come around because he sees what this kid does. Okay? Tony Rizzo, UKNR, The Big Show, The Tony Rizzo Show, Uncle Rizzy. I watched Uncle Rizzy when he was doing sports on WJW TV8. Okay? With the late Dick Goddard. Tony Rizzo has been a Shedeur guy from day one. Okay? Let me see if I can pull this up. Do I got Uncle Riz here? Let's see. No, this one is Shedeur Sanders responding to some questions about committing to him. Here we go.
a commitment from the Browns about next year and you being the starter?
You know, I think I have to do my part. You know, get some wins. I think I have to do my part and play clean football, and the rest isn't in my hands. I don't own the organization, you know, so I can't promise anything will happen. You know, I'm not God. I can't dictate what's gonna happen each and every day, each and every minute. You know, so you just gotta enjoy what you do have. You gotta enjoy the present. You can't look too deep into the future, because then you'll miss the blessings and the lessons that you learned from the now.
Do you
So if you pay attention to what Shador is talking about, because of course the Cleveland media always tries to bait this young man into speaking against his coaching staff and things of that nature. Do y'all realize who his dad is? His dad has mastered the media for so many years. So what makes you think that he's not going to have his son prepared to master the media? Now, I'm not saying that the question that Tony Grossi asked him was incorrect. I'm not saying that, as much as I don't agree with Tony Grossi. But it was actually, you know, it was a good question asking, you know, do you feel that the team is committing to you? And just like you said, I got to do my part. And he had, you know, he knows what he has to do. But I think he's done enough to at least get the opportunity to try it next year. Okay? So I want y'all to understand, and like I said, my rant is the Cleveland media. Stop trying to change the narrative. Stop it. You know, Jason Lloyd sounded like a complete imbecile when he came on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and said what he said. Okay? And I know he doesn't care, but you don't come on TV and make comments like that and have nothing to back it up. You don't have names to back it up. You don't have any kind of metrics to back up what you're saying. And at the end of the day, G. Bush said it best. And I'm just paraphrasing what he said. When you play football, football is not played by dudes in a room with calculators. What game are you watching? That's my question. What game are you watching? This offensive line is probably the worst in 30 years of the Cleveland Browns. And you're saying that this young man is supposed to elevate these bums up front. So I assume he's supposed to elevate the special teams too, because why Bubba Ventrone is still around is beyond me. So Jason Lloyd, you need to back up, because that was foolish. Adam the Bull, let a person get their point across. And don't always make it about you. Jay Crawford, I'm disappointed in you. Because you Cleveland born, Cleveland bred, I'm disappointed in you. Because you see how the narrative is being changed. When G. Bush talked about the goalpost being moved, everybody was in an uproar. What he's saying is 1 minute y'all saying he's great, but in the next minute y'all saying, well, he could be greater in 5 games. Stop. And when he brought up Josh Allen, well, Josh Allen's a Pro Bowler. Josh Allen was garbage when he first got to Buffalo. But the team and the organization invested in him. Okay? Lamar Jackson. He wasn't Lamar Jackson when he got there. He was playing behind Joe Flacco. But the team invested in him and went ahead and traded away Flacco. Let him go. Tom Brady played behind Drew Bledsoe. I mean, come on. This is why, and I don't talk about Browns fans because I love Cleveland fans. They're passionate. They're about their team. But the media is one of the reasons why it's hard for athletes to stay in Cleveland. Because the media, and I'm not saying everybody, but there are members of the media who are never, ever happy. It doesn't matter what an athlete does. They're never, ever happy. So I need Cleveland-based media to be better. I need them to be better. Mary Kay, the legendary Mary Kay Cabot, be better. Jason Lloyd, be better. Be better. Okay? Jay Crawford, I'm going to give you a pass. I love Jay Crawford. I do. Cold pizza, love Jay Crawford. But Jay, I need you to be better. Be better. Be better. Because the Cleveland fans want a winner. They don't want the excuses. They don't want the narratives that are being drawn. They don't want that. They want a winner. But I need the Cleveland media. I didn't say you got to embrace Shador, but quit trying to break him down. Quit trying to tear this young African-American football player down. Because that's the problem. That's why y'all looked at as haters. Okay? That's why y'all looked at it as haters. Because you didn't say that stuff with Dylan Gabriel. You didn't say that. Okay? You didn't say that. Well, you didn't say that with Kenny Pickett taking all the reps during preseason, but never saw a down of football and barely playing for the Raiders right now. Nah, y'all didn't talk about that. Not too much. But because this young man has Sanders on his back and is confident about himself, now y'all got problems. And it's so flipping obvious when you guys start talking about this young man. And like I said, I'm not a Shadurian. I'm not. I want to see the young man be successful. But I wanted to see Dylan Gabriel be successful because I want to see the Browns be successful. So if Shador Sanders is the guy, then put your resources in him and let him be the guy. But don't come on national television and national radio and try to tear this black man down because he's trying to be successful in life. Take your narratives, stick him in your pocket, and take a long walk down a short pier. Because ain't nobody trying to hear that. As G. Bush eloquently said, you lost. You guys tried to bury Shador. And once again, I'm not saying all media. But you know who you are. You've tried your best to bury this kid. And he's done nothing but rise up. So understand something. To whom much that is given, much is required. And he understands the assignment. You guys don't. Cleveland has been terrible since 1999. Now you have a draft class who have come from winning organizations, winning programs. Dylan Gabriel from Oregon. Quinshawn Junkins from The Ohio State University won a national championship. Shador, Colorado. Schlesinger, UCLA. They've come from programs that win. And then they come to Cleveland. And now what they're trying to do. What are they trying to do, y'all? They're trying to change the culture. But the Cleveland media, some of y'all just don't want them to do it. They're trying to change the culture. Okay? Kind of like when Jarvis Landry came to Cleveland. Jarvis Landry knew that there was a cultural issue. So what did he do? He went to change the culture, and it almost worked. But guess what? He got run out of Cleveland. Now, his skills did diminish. I get that. I'm not going to sit up here and say he was a top-tier wide receiver toward the end, because he wasn't. But it was the mentality. Right now, the Cleveland Browns have no culture. They don't, because they don't have anybody creating culture. Kevin Stefanski is not creating the culture, but these rookies are. These rookies are creating the culture. So Cleveland media, get better. Please get better. And I need people who don't know anything about football to stop talking football. Aaron Goldhammer, please stop talking football. It just doesn't make sense when you talk about it. Because you've never played the game. You've never coached the game. You don't know the ins and outs of the game. Okay? I don't need to hear commentary from someone who's never been in the trenches. I'm not saying you can't have an opinion. Yeah, you can. But when you talk X's and O's about football, you're the last person I want to listen to. Gerard Cherry is somebody who I'm going to listen to on your radio station. Uncle Tony is somebody I'm going to listen to. He played high school football. Okay? But the ones who haven't really indulged themselves or been on a football field, You better make sense to me, else I'm done listening to you. Okay? In UCSS, you don't hear Mikey McNuggets talking a whole lot of X's and O's with football. He understands his lane. He understands his lane. When you start talking basketball, Mikey McNuggets talks about basketball because that's his lane. He leaves the football talk to who? He'll chime in, but does he really get in depth? No. He leaves that to G. Bush. He leaves that to Tyvis Powell. Okay? He leaves that to Dustin Fox. Guys who have been on the field. So that's what I'm saying. Don't just think that you can come on because they put a microphone in your face and just say anything and think you're going to get away with it. Shout out to G. Bush and the barbershop, man. Hopefully we can connect at one time. I'd love to talk to you, brother. All right. All right, guys, that's my time. I'm about to get up out of here. Listen, once again, if you have not subscribed to the Locker Room, I don't know what's going on with y'all. Y'all mad at me? Do I owe you money? What's happening? Subscribe to the Locker Room. Go to the Locker Room on YouTube. All right. Locker Room 34. You can go ahead and hit that up. And then go to 3 The Hard Way Sports Podcast. Come and join me, my man L Train, and the captain, Terrence Austin, as we continue to talk Cleveland sports. Listen, I love y'all. Happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas to everybody who celebrated Christmas. Have a happy new year. Please stay safe out here in these streets. And as I always say, love on somebody. Tell somebody that you love them. Don't always assume that they know. I'll see y'all later.